Good evening. I hereby call this meeting of the Public Safety Committee to order. We only have one item on the consent agenda tonight. On the general agenda, there are two items. There is a resolution authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, the City of Greensboro, and the City of High Point on some DNA testing of cold case evidence. The second item is an update on the successful outcomes after release program. Members of the committee, we have one item on the consent agenda. Is there a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
It's been motioned and properly second. All in favor, please show by saying aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you. Item G1, please.
Item G1, resolution authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, the City of Greensboro, North Carolina, the City of High Point, and NMS Labs Incorporated for DNA testing of cold case evidence.
All right, and giving us an update on this item is our Police Chief, Barry Roundtree. Chief Roundtree, you are recognized, sir.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the Public Safety Committee.
Good evening.
If you recall, we received a cold case grant for the Winston-Salem Police Department, Greensboro Police Department, and High Point Police Department back in 2014. The company or the service that we use to do the DNA testing, they actually went out of business several months ago. This is just to change our DNA provider for the cold case grant.
Any questions for Chief Roundtree? Councilman McIntosh.
We're paying another firm to do this. Is there any way that we can bring any of this in house now that we have our own lab, or is this not applicable?
Our current lab and our current contract is for alcohol blood contact testing and drug testing. Now, the current company that we're using for this is the mother company of our in-house lab. But currently, here in the City of Winston-Salem, they don't do the DNA testing.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns for Chief Roundtree? Thank you, Chief. Is there a motion?
Second.
Moved and properly second. All in favor, please show by saying aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you, Chief Roundtree. Item G2, please.
Item G2, update on the successful outcomes after release program.
And giving us an update on the SOAR program is Mr. Evan Raleigh. Mr. Raleigh, how are you today?
Doing well. Good evening, Chairman Taylor and members of the committee. This is an update on the successful outcomes after release initiative, and if you'll indulge for just a second, I'd like to just briefly recap with the committee how this initiative came to be. With the passage of the 14-15 budget, the City Council allocated $100,000 for the SOAR initiative. And it was originally envisioned that that $100,000 would be exclusively for the purposes of grant making to organizations that support the rehabilitation of former offenders in our community. However, kind of after assessing the intent of the program and the city's workforce needs, I think it was decided that half of that $100,000 would be set aside to directly employ local former offenders with the city in temporary capacities. In June of this past year, the allocation was upped to $175,000, $150,000 of which was dedicated specifically to directly employing local former offenders, and $25,000 was set aside for grant making. To date, we have a total of 15. We've hired a total of 15 SOAR participants, representing two different classes of hires. Those individuals are working in various largely labor-based positions throughout the city. In I think the bulk are in the Community and Business Development Department. We also have a strong contingent that is in the Property and Facilities Maintenance Division. We have hired two of those individuals into full-time positions to date, and we certainly expect that number over time will likely increase, but two to date have been hired into full-time positions. And those individuals are paid, at least when they start, the city's living wage. So that kind of concludes my update. I'm happy to entertain any questions from the committee.
Any questions for Mr. Raleigh? Councilman Blake?
Chairman, match our efforts or after release term with, say, like the PTRC and the programs that they run?
What we've attempted to do is use the organizations that are working in the rehabilitation space basically as referral agencies to send candidates that have come through those programs to us to be employed by us. So I think that's probably the most direct linkage between that and what our program is seeking to do.
Councilmember Adams.
Thank you, Chair Taylor. Mr. Raleigh, could you tell the general public how we, I don't want to say manage, how do we follow up with the participants and ensure that they're being successful and making sure that anything that we can do, that we're doing that? Just kind of walk the general public through that process so they don't think, Chairman Taylor, that we just hire them and, okay, if you need some help, come and see me, but it's not that type of program. So
Sure. One of the things that I did fail to mention in the overview was that we have built in kind of an extended portion of the program whereby after the initial 6-month term, we'll retain a certain number of individuals who have distinguished themselves to serve another 6-month term of temporary employment with us, whereby we do some more individualized, personalized training, resume reviews, just general skill development. So at present, all of the folks that we've hired, they're all still currently employed, even our original class. So no one who has entered the program to date has left the employ of the city. They've been transitioned into other either temporary spots and then also a couple that were transitioned into full-time positions. So we make every effort to ensure that no matter how long or short their duration is with the city, that we have provided them with some skills that they can use either to move to other divisions, departments, or to other workplaces in the city.
yes, Mr. Raleigh, can you tell us how often we sit down with these employees for review and that sort of thing? No different than what we would do with our employees, so far as their performance, to let them know that they're doing great things, that we're here and where they could go with this. How often do we sit down and actually have a conversation for a review with the employees?
So as temporary employees, they're not subject to the city's formal
But they're
review
different.
process, but, well, not subject to the formal review, but I think we probably take
Yeah.
special care.
Right.
Understanding the uniqueness of the backgrounds of these individuals to meet with them very frequently. I'll say, I want to give a specific number, but we are very hands-on because I think we are really invested in the success of these individuals. So it's quite regularly.
One more comment, Chair Taylor. I've been going to the Cherry Street Correction Facility with Project Reentry at the Goodwill Industry. And one of the things that I have learned, even from the participants there, that upon reentry, it's very important to have that hands-on of people, that feeling of someone caring about me and someone that's really concerned about me being successful. And the data shows that when you do that, the success rate is just insurmountable of where the individuals can then go. Because most of the time when they are coming back to us, no one wants to have a hands-on with them at all. Family, friends, community. But whatever group or organization that does that, there is a very high chance of success. And I'm glad to hear that because that's very, very important. Thank you.
Councilmember Montgomery.
Yes. First, I'd like to say again to council and to others, and particularly to Chairman Taylor for pushing us forward in this direction. I think it's very clear to community, and I think more employers, more individuals who are working on issues around poverty, individuals who are working on issues that are dealing with economic vitalities of communities are coming to the understanding that if we don't work to make sure that ex-offenders are able, those who want to and desire, have access to employment, that it actually is a much larger drain on public dollars than it is to make sure that they're transitioning properly. So I think the fact that we're spending these dollars is one I think is the data shows very clearly that is needed, because we have to make sure that we're creating those opportunities. So one, I say thank you there. The questions kind of surround in the fact that a fair amount of individuals that I work with each and every day have some type of criminal background history, which provides many other obstacles and barriers for them. And one thing that we understand, and as data shows, is that particularly those individuals that are being reentered, that are working back in, that again, that support system that Councilman Adams spoke of is tremendously important. And I'm not sure, and it would be interesting to know, and that may be happening within the program, but I'd just like to know any data on that. And then for those individuals who are a part of the program, it'd be interesting to kind of see what type of offenses they are, how long ago they were incarcerated. Are these individuals that are a few months out coming in, are these people who've been years back out into the community, just to kind of see the depth and the girth of the individuals that we're working with in the program so far. I think that'll just be some interesting information for us to understand and to know. And then even the additional educational opportunities in terms of, we're giving them the employment experience, but are we then connecting them or pushing them to the opportunities for that additional development and certification and growth? Because it's one thing to work in labor-intensive jobs, but it's another opportunity to move that experience, to show your dedication and your ability to work, and then take that to achieving additional educational achievements that helps you to move out of those type of jobs into more less labor-intensive, more mental-intensive type of jobs.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Byrd.
We have been talking about reentry for quite some time, years. It seems that this program will be one that we can really document as one that can be positive. The concern I have would be, when you talk about livable wages, what is that livable wage that you're paying?
It's the livable wage that was, I believe, adopted by council of currently $10.25 per hour.
And I was just telling the city manager earlier today, an individual worked for a company in this city for 35 years. And when that individual got the job, it was $8.35. How do you live? And even now, up to 10, it may be good, but it's still tough, especially people who've been in the reentry program. And one thing that Ms. Montgomery mentioned, always said about the education. What are you doing to get them educated? And also, what is happening with private business? Have we embraced any private business? Oh, it's not on. Excuse me. Have we embraced any private business where they are interested in working with us with the reentry?
We have not solicited any private businesses. I know that there have been. I know that the city manager has been in conversation with the chamber and others, I believe, to sort of use our program, hold this program up as a model for what others in the community can do to assist with reintegrating former offenders. But we haven't established
Well, I will
direct
emphasize, Mr. Chairman, and members of the committee and other council people, we need to be doing that. We need to measure the success. Just like last year at the Dr. Martin Luther King breakfast that the city embraces, started with the Crowner Cup and providing a big opportunity for us to join with them and for us to expose this to our citizens, what we do as a city to work with groups. The chairman of the head of the Chamber of Commerce said that job opportunities. And I'm interested to know, Mr. Chairman, Mr. City Manager, to get from her before we have that next meeting, how many companies have hired folks and how many of them may have been in. They don't tell it now. They don't have to mark that I've been in, I have a record. They can just sign up for a job, and it's legal. Is that right, attorney? Yes. So, and how many can she tell maybe they're in a reentry program? And what has the chamber done to encourage private businesses to work with opportunities for diversity? And I think that will be, since we're investing a lot of our tax dollars in the Dr. Martin Luther King breakfast with the Chronicle, is that correct? Mm-hmm. Not only we embrace it, and we want to know if we're spending those dollars and get some kind of report. That's all, I think, at this particular time.
Mayor Pro Tem Burke, I want to say your comments are well received and well taken. I think you made some excellent points. Just also wanted to mention, in conjunction with what Mr. Raleigh has spoken, the city manager was there, and I gave a presentation on SOAR to the board of directors for the Chamber of Commerce in 2015. Out of that spun some interest from some of our local businesses to partner with us to hire some former offenders. But I think as the program starts to mature, it's my understanding that we'll move in that direction. But I'm glad you brought that up, and that's something, Mr. Raleigh and Mr. City Manager, we need to revisit sometime here early in 2016. Did you want to make a comment on that?
No, I was going to say the same thing. The only thing I was going to comment on is, I've had the opportunity to meet some of the participants, particularly the two that we've hired full time, and it is really it breaks the stereotypical molds. And these individuals really want to work. Yes. They want to come back to work. They want to be taxpayers and take care of their families, and they are very, very motivated to work for us. And so, I think it's been a very effective program so far, and it is so much better investment than the alternative that Councilman Montgomery mentioned. If people end up back in the criminal justice system.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember McIntosh.
Most of my points have been covered, but what we're all talking about here is recidivism, and that is the number of people who come out of prison and turn right back and go around. That's a very opaque cost, but it's a real cost to the community. When, from a policing standpoint, from a justice standpoint, from a victim standpoint, we're talking about spending real money up front to try to alleviate as much of that as we possibly can. And I do think we need to partner with local organizations. For instance, maybe the clean team that does the downtown bid area. Right. Folks like that, companies like that we have a good relationship with. Partner with them to bring some of these people back to the workforce. Everything else I said was pretty been said.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Light.
I just want to say that there are indeed other programs through other agencies, like, and I'll just mention this, is the Piedmont Triad Regional Council, where they have a reentry program where they actually start working with the people in prison for 6 months before their release, and doing, training and education and everything. So all of those things put together, I think, really will make a dent in the recidivism.
And Councilmember Light, I don't think we can ever have enough programs in this community to fill the need, but I thought that, the city, if this is something that's important to us, as is arts, as is innovation, that we take the lead and put our money where our mouth is, because this is a real problem in some of our communities, and spending money on the front end outweighs spending money on the back end. And I know firsthand that there are a number of people who want to work. Now, naturally, there are a lot of good people, and there are a lot of bad people. I'm an optimist. There are a lot of good people, and everybody makes mistakes. I think each and every person in this room has done something that we should not have done, and we're not just for grace or mercy. It would be us. But there are a lot of people who want to feed their families, and it's important that we keep that information and this program in mind. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. So thank you to Mr. Garrity. Thank you to Mr. Raleigh, who has run the point on this thing probably better than some of our point guards in the NBA. You've done an excellent job, and we appreciate your hard work and your service to the city and to this particular program. I missed Councilmember Bessie. Please forgive me. You raised your hand a moment ago. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, sir. I've supported the allocation for Project SOAR. I think it's appropriate the city directly participate in this, because it is not just a humanitarian gesture. It is also common sense for the public safety of our citizens to address recidivism, and a cost saver in the long run. The city's strength and interest in this area has not gone unnoticed by the private organizations that are also working on the area. And I anticipate that we'll be seeing additional requests for strength and funding from there. When I've been approached, I've said, that's great. Give us the numbers. Show us how you're getting results, what the results are. And one of those that has been readiest to provide that information is project reentry that Councilmember Light identified as being associated with Piedmont Triad. I think we'll need to look at that as we prepare next year's budget, and in deciding where to put the extra dollars that will be asked for. Let's keep an eye on who's shown that their approach is working.
Thank you, Councilmember Besson. Now, we've got 2 additional comments. While I'm thinking about it, I did want to say, I think it was you, Mayor Pro Tem Burke, that brought up the ban the box concept. I know some time ago the city has already banned the box. And if you're not familiar with the box, I think it's that little box that says that you've been convicted of a felony or misdemeanor. Now, we do background checks, but that box sometimes prohibits people, good, qualified candidates, from getting to the door. We've already done that, and we encourage the chamber and all of our local businesses to do the same. So I'm going to go to Councilmember Montgomery. You have the floor, sir.
I'd just make one final comment, and it just reiterates what the city manager stated in reference to the employees that he's had the opportunity to meet with. Those 2 that he indicated that just shown a great sense of quality in what they bring to the organization. And as an individual who in the daily role has opportunity to hire individuals, I've hired individuals who have criminal backgrounds, and I've hired people who don't. And to me, I think they're the same in the sense that some people who come to work who have absolutely no criminal background may not do as good of a job as somebody who does. And I think that when we put in front of them this scarlet letter of sorts in front of them that pretty much states that because of this they're no longer capable of doing a job, it is an injustice to our community to do that. There's mistakes that have been made. Some of us just hadn't been caught for some of the stuff that you've done, but you're still working and you still have opportunity. And what that has said to me in this program, and I want people to understand very, very, very clearly, is when, generally speaking, when people are given an opportunity, the majority of people rise to the occasion. And I think that's, at the end of the day, what we have to understand. You can call me optimistic or whatever, but I still genuinely believe that a majority of people are good and desire to do good. And when given that opportunity, they perform. And I think this program has shown that in the fact of the individuals who've been the participants of that. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you for your comments. Are there any other additional comments on this matter?
Chairman Taylor, if I may.
Mr. Rowley, please.
Just for the benefit of those who may be watching, just to let you know, we will be hiring for the 3rd class of participants this spring. And if there's an interest, please visit the city's human resources website. If you go to the city's homepage and type in SOAR in the search box, you'll be taken to an interest form where you can fill out your personal information. We'll be able to contact you when the new positions become posted.
So go to the city's website, type in SOAR in the search engine. I know, Mr. Riley, you would attest to this. I probably, at one point in time in 2015, I was probably getting 40 calls a day for this particular program. I think not a day goes by where I don't get at least 1 or 2 calls on this. So it's a very hot program in the city. Everybody wants to participate. And if you want to participate, type in SOAR in the city's search engine, go to the human resources page, and you can apply accordingly. Thank you, Mr. Riley. Any other updates?
No, sir.
Anything else, members of the committee, members of the council, for the good of the order? Councilmember Bessie.
Just briefly, I realized when I saw a post on Councilmember Adams' Facebook page on Friday evening that I had inadvertently misscheduled my calendar at the end of the year and missed the promotion ceremony. So I just wanted to add my congratulations to all the officers who were promoted this past week. Good job. Thank you for the work you're doing, and I apologize for missing the event on Friday.
All right, and Chief, we're going to let you speak in a second. Matter of fact, we're going to ask you to speak. Before we do that, Mayor Pro Tem Burke, you have the floor.
Mr. Bessie, you took the words right out of my mouth, and I said to the chairman, why'd you let him speak before me? And as I was looking at the assistant chief comments, it's nice for them to come. And they tell me all on Facebook was Councilmember Adams. And you know, I feel good about what we're doing to see us. And I see one wore his bow tie today and all dressed up, so he's celebrating. I can say that to him because he was my counselor when he was in elementary school, so I can say that and get by. But
A little red.
Oh, is he? But I guess now the chief just sitting there about to jump out of his seat. I guess we'll let him take over.
Well, Councilman Burke, we're going to call Chief Roundtree to the podium. And while he's coming, I'll say I called you second by accident. Most former football players see left to right. And I saw him left to right, so please forgive me for that. Chief Roundtree, you recognized.
Thank you again. I was going to introduce our new promotees tonight anyway. Of course, I made a round of promotions. Last Friday, we had a promotional ceremony. We promoted 13 individuals in the police department. First, I'll introduce Assistant Chief Katrina Thompson. She'll come forward. I'll allow her to make a few comments in a few moments. She started her career in 1994. She served in various areas of the police department to include our patrol division, recruiting, training division, and the criminal investigations division. She will be the commander of our investigative services bureau. That's the investigative side of the police department, having our criminal investigations division and our special investigations division. Also, she has a bachelor's degree from Wayne State University and a master's degree from Appalachian State University. Also, part of the promotions as far as the command staff, Captain Danny Watts. Come on, stand up.
Here.
With your bow tie.
Captain Watts is a 26-year veteran of the Winston-Salem Police Department. He started his career in 1989. He served in various areas of the police department to include our patrol division, recruiting, planning and accreditation, downtown bike patrol, and his most recent assignment, he was over our training division. He will be assigned to the professional standards division as the commander of the professional standards division. He has an associate's degree from Gifford Community College. He also has a private pilot's license. Wow. I don't think any other promotees are here, but I'll also introduce the other staff after they make their comments, just so you can put a name with the face.
All right, Assistant Chief.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I am extremely humbled by my promotion to Assistant Chief, and I feel extremely blessed to work with some of the most professional law enforcement officers and employees in this nation, bar none. I look forward to continuing our work as a member of Chief Roundtree's command staff team as we strengthen relationships that we have between the police department and the community in Winston-Salem, and as we move forward in 2016 with developing additional community relationships. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
And Captain Watts, the fact that you've got a bow tie on says to me that you are a gentleman and a scholar. You have the floor, sir.
Chairman Taylor, Mayor Pro Tem Burke, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to serve the city as we do. I too am humbled by my promotion and very pleasantly surprised. The day before Christmas holidays, I told the chief he was better than Santa Claus this year, but I appreciate the opportunity to work for the city. And, I speak to Mayor Pro Tem Burke's comments. 4 or 5 years ago when I was in the 5th grade, she was a great influence in my life, and I appreciate what you do for the city and what you've done for me. Thank you very much.
My boy here.
Congratulations.
Just some real quick introductions. We have Sergeant Bowers here from our downtown bike patrol. Of course, we have Assistant Chief Wilson Weaver. He's here, our field services bureau assistant chief. We have Captain Jeff Watson. He's over our special operations division. Our District 3 captain, Captain Doug Nance. Here. Also have Sergeant Branshaw here tonight. We have Lieutenant Vince Riga. He's also in special operations division. And we have in the back Captain Natasha James. She's the District 1 captain. I don't think I'm missing anybody. So, thank you.
Thank you. So before we adjourn, I would be remiss not to recognize the fire department. And I see the most ranking officer here is Assistant Chief Frank Stowe. Thank you for being here, sir. All right. If there's anything else for the good of the order, Councilman Montgomery.
Just one comment. I know that it was much praises to Councilmember Adams and her Facebook tirades from the event on Friday, and I know Ms. Burke said that she was told of that. I think that we need to make sure that we help and assist Ms. Burke get on Facebook so that she can enjoy
Honey, come up this way, you two. Come over
the same thing.
Madam City Attorney.
I was just mentioning that emergency management's here too.
Oh, where's oh, I apologize about that, sir. We thank you for being here as well. Is there anything else we're going to the order? For a third time. We consider this meeting to be adjourned.